Hello, good evening, good morning,
Hello.
good
Good
afternoon,
morning. Good
throughout the globe,
afternoon.
wherever you are.
Yes.
I'm Rizwan Akram here in Connecting the World show, and every time we are here to connecting the people throughout the globe. So today, my guest is my neighbor in USA, and she's Mona Lu. And Mona is an entrepreneur. She has done masters in international relations. So we are gonna learn a lot of things and wanna know about her as well. So Mona, welcome to Connecting the World show.
Well, thank you so much, Rizwan, for having me. I am so thrilled to be with you. And as we have discussed, connecting the world is my passion. So hopefully today we will learn a lot, not only about me, but about you and your culture as well, which I'm very familiar with. So first of all,
Definitely.
I am a native of Morocco, and I immigrated to the United States about 30 years ago. It's been quite a journey, very interesting journey, but a beautiful journey as well, where I met people from all over the world. So throughout my professional experience, I have worked with over 122 nationalities. So obviously, when you meet someone, you have to ask questions, you have to learn about them. And not only that, you have to be open to whatever that different culture is about that you're embarking into working with. Um, there is something that I've noticed since I was a child, that I was always curious about other people, and a passion for learning about others. And every time my family sent me to buy something, or I'm coming back from school or anywhere, and then I find a tourist, then he asks me or she asks me about a place, I say, you know what? Let me take you there. And I was very open about taking them to wherever they were going, not just because of the welcoming culture that I come from, but also to strike a conversation and ask questions, learn about who they are. So the topic of today, obviously, why is it so important to understand about culture or cultures in a global village? Let's identify that global village first. That global village, for
Exactly.
me personally, is a community where everyone is interacting at one level or another. And they have to interact with respect, with understanding each other, and with acceptance. That does not mean that we have to relinquish our nationalism, our identity, our religious beliefs. It simply means be accepting of the other person. And the only way that can happen is by understanding the culture. Are we agreeing so far?
Yep.
Okay, so let's say, for example, you are in Pakistan and I am here in the US. Let's say,
We are
I
neighbor
don't,
actually now.
what's that?
We are neighboring countries. During
Well,
COVID,
hey,
we have come neighbor to every person in the globe.
yes, absolutely. So let's say, for example, I don't know anything about your culture.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have a lot of friends from Pakistan. I have clients for Pakistan. I am very familiar with the Pakistani culture. But let's say I don't know anything about you, but I am asked to do business with you. So, what's the first impression that comes to mind? The first impression is the feeding of what the media has been telling us about Pakistan. And they're telling us about Pakistan all the wrong reasons. They're occupying the airtime for the wrong reasons. We are hearing about terrorism, we're hearing about this, about that, but we forget to look a little bit deeper, that this is what the media is feeding you for a certain agenda. And people have to differentiate between politics and between the people themselves of that country, whatever country in the world. So, based on that narrative, we develop what's called attributional bias. What does that mean? It simply means that in this world, there are two kind of people. There is you or
Yep.
them, and there is us. Us, we are perceived as good, as positive, as open-minded, and everything that is so great about us, we attribute it to ourselves. But what about the others? How do we see the other? The other is not so much good. And because of that, we either are afraid or we are rejecting the idea of connecting with people that are not like us, or we are suspecting their behavior, whatever it is, and at the end, we don't connect as we should be connecting. What is the reason of our creation at the end of the day? Obviously, if we read in all scriptures, and that includes the Quran, we are going to find out that we were created to know one another. We are created nations and tribes to get to know each other. So if we blocking that a godly sent message, then obviously our purpose is lost as human beings. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask me as we go along, because I don't want to be talking throughout the session, but ask me any question you would like to know about.
But I would like to ask, like, if the people throughout the globe are thinking differently, having different cultures, having different mindset, different backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, social, cultural values, having different educational levels, how they can think on the same grounds.
How can they think on the same terms? Well, obviously, everyone is going to be molded by their childhood experience, by their cultural upbringing. The family plays a role, school plays a role, government plays a role. All the experiences that we have since childhood develop who we are. Okay. Now, at certain point, when we connect with other cultures, we start looking at, looking at ourselves in the mirror and start asking questions. Who are we really? If I go, let's say, any American with the idea of what the media has injected into their brain, and the same narrative about a group of people, and that a group of people becomes like scapegoat, becomes like a target. Every time something bad happens in the world, we resort to that group and we try to blame them for everything bad that is happening. Let's say I am going to your country and I spend about 2 weeks. I will come back liberated, rejuvenated, and so happy that I made that choice to go to Pakistan, because I know that they are the most generous, the most kind, and the most humble people. Wouldn't that be great if we have that opportunity? But obviously we don't. So my mission is to bring that culture to you, to bring that different culture that you think it is different, bring it to you, educate you about it, hoping that you can connect better and do better business in the future. And it happens, uh, it happens all around the world. It's just not here or Pakistan or Bangladesh or Nigeria, whatever. This is how it works in the entire world. And it is time, because we are so connected now. We are so close or closer to each other that we have to start listening. We have to start asking questions, and we have to start being accepting of what is called different than we are. It's all about dialogue. It's all about conversation. It's all about questioning. It's all about having that desire to get to know the other person. So I hope I answer your question. And by the way, another thing, and I understand that you're
Yeah.
running for some leadership position.
Mona, I would like to ask that how was the like you have been from Morocco and migrated to US nowadays. You met a lot of communities and a lot of cultures as well. How was your experience like growing up in a different society, then getting education in a different society and being an entrepreneur and businessman with a multinational society? How was your experience? How you feel about the people? Like why there is a negative propaganda about different nations?
Let's start tackling the first part of the question, and that is what has been my experience coming from a different culture to the U.S. It's been enriching experience, a really wonderful experience. Here is why. Uh, some of us are already molded to be accepting. In other words, in my culture, since we are little, at 7 years old, we are learning about other countries. We have to know, okay, what is the capital of this country? What is the capital of that country? What do they speak? What religion do they have? So on and so forth. So I came from a background that had already prepared me for multiculturalism, for a global world. So when I came to the US, I pursued several professions, and through those professions, obviously, I was dealing with people from all over the world. So it was easy, a breezy thing for me. Now, why do people have negative views about others? Well, let's talk about the US experience. People are so consumed in their daily lives. They don't have time to check. They don't have time to read about others. They don't have time to go and find out about other cultures. So where do they receive, or where do they get their news? They get it from television. It's basically what they learn. That's all it is. Like, for example, um, women in Pakistan. I met some wonderful, the most intelligent women that I've met. They were from Pakistan, among other groups of people. But if someone here that does not know about your culture, they look at them on the street, and they have the headscarf covered and the Pakistani garments. Obviously, if they don't know who they are, they don't get to talk to them. They don't know what is it, what is it, what is it that is different in this culture. They will never know about these people. I know so many Pakistani women who are doctors, engineers, attorneys, and they're extremely smart. But
Exactly.
if you don't get to understand about that culture, take time, really take time to really understand and have that desire to learn about others. You will never know. You will always have that idea that uh, those women from that part of the world are what do they associate the scarf with? They associate it with so many negative things that in reality they're not true.
Exactly.
So how, I mean, this topic is really, really big. How do we begin um, to talk about cultures, diversity, inclusion, um, the way it's supposed to be taught? Is basically those the barriers, the barriers that we're accustomed to, the barriers that we put for ourselves, the barriers that we placed in front of us. We have to get rid of them. That's the only way we can give opportunities to others to tell us about who they are, and also us telling the world about who we are as well. I mean, today, there's nothing that's happening in the world if we don't sell. You go to the supermarket, what do you find? I'm sure it's in Pakistan. You go to the supermarket, you will find products from Japan, product from China, from Bangladesh,
Exactly.
from everywhere. And how did that happen if people are not connected? Well, if you want to do a lot of business in today's world, you have to learn about cultures, and you have to be receptive. Not only learn about them, but you have to be receptive and respectful of their ways. Once you understand, really understand, then you will say to yourself, you know what? I was wrong all along. These people are just like me. These people have the same desires, the same hopes, the same fears, the same challenges. They may be different, but they're the same. And that's what makes us all human. We are one family. And it's time for us to understand that. Like I said, once we understand, we will stop dehumanizing people. And that's what's been happening for a long time. The regular people get caught up in political struggles, uh, religious grab of powers, conflict, and who pays the price? The regular people like you and I. So,
Agree.
yeah.
So,
Any other
so
questions you
Mona,
have for me?
would you like to tell me that when you were brought up, I don't know whether you have brought up in Morocco or in States. How was the world when you were getting your primary education? How was the world at that time? How you perceived? How was your thinking about the different culture?
How was my thinking about different culture? I mean, I was brought up in a
Yep.
country that really did not did not know what color was. I mean, the first time I learned about color is here in the United States. We don't classify people based on the color. We don't classify people based on whatever affiliation they have. We see them as people. They're just like us. And our job is to find out more about who they are. And they will, obviously, I will learn something from them, and they will learn something from me as well.
So nice of you. Now I'm asking towards the last questions of the day's session. However, I think that I have taken more time than I have already committed to you. But I would like to ask that what about the common language? What do you think? The whole world should come toward a single language that can be understandable, either he's educated or not.
I don't think that we should have one language.
Hmm.
If you go back in history and you study history, you are going to find out that every era has a dominant language. There was at one point,
Okay.
there was a French language that was dominating. It was the language of politics, of business, and everything. At one era, Arabic was dominating as a language of business and all of that, of discovery and everything.
Okay.
Every As we are evolving, as we are going through time, there will be a language that will be dominant. And for now, it's been for a while the English language, and to understand how it came about to be the dominant language, and the language where it's used quite often in doing world and global business, is understanding the modern Western civilization that started from England. Once we know and once we understand how is this civilization came about, and what are the steps that it went through to have English as the language of business, then we can understand that this language will be here for a while, but it's not going to be here forever. It will be a time that it gets transferred to another language that will be dominant. That's how everything in the world works. I mean, I am for learning other languages. I speak different languages myself, and I don't expect
Uh-huh.
people to learn mine. I learn theirs to communicate with them and make it easy for them. So if
Mm.
they want to learn my language, great. If not, I am able to speak to you in whatever language you want me to speak to you with.
That's
I
cool.
haven't learned Urdu though. I have friends that speak Urdu, but I haven't learned it yet.
Oh, wow. So you are in the process of learning?
Well, I am not in the process of learning. I have so much on my plate. Um, I had a plan. I had a plan to learn Chinese. It hasn't happened. Hopefully, it will happen at some point. But I do love languages. I do love um, I do love literature,
Mona,
culture, everything.
I'm going to connect you to a lady who's
Oh,
teaching Chinese language here in Pakistan, and she speaks Urdu and English as well. She's a Chinese national, and she has conducted different interviews from China here on Facebook. I would love to connect you.
absolutely, absolutely. I would love to chat with her and understand, because the more you know, the better it is for you and better it is for the entire world, your community, and everyone that is around you.
Exactly. I agree.
I guess we're past our time,
Mona,
Rizwan.
yeah, Mona, thank you so much for giving me the time. I hope that we have a better connection in future and
I
better
know,
availability of all access. Uh,
I
and
know.
uh, and definitely we will have a better way of communication. This session is going to be a primary or preliminary or introductory session as well. So we are on the mission of connecting the world and connecting every day a new person. All the people who are here connecting to me, connecting to Mona, stay connected. We are here to help each other. We are in this globe to learn each other, to learn from each other. We are on this planet to impress, to inspire each other. Thank you so much, Mona, for having me or having you on show. And it was really nice talking to you. You are a great human being and a beautiful person.
Thank you so much, Rizwan. Thank you for having me. I wish you the best of luck with your endeavors. And please, let's connect again and talk more about what is important in the world today.
Definitely, we will do it again, inshallah.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Bye
Have a very
bye.
good day.